AITA for exposing my girlfriend after she took her ex to a wedding instead of me? My name is Tristan, and I am 29 years old. I work in pharmaceutical quality control. My job is to ensure that the medications leaving the plant do not harm anyone. I analyze batches, review documentation, and stop production lines if something does not add up. I make $82,000 a year with benefits. It is not flashy, but it is stable. I met Belle at a coffee shop near my apartment on a Tuesday morning. She was 25 and sitting at a corner table, crying in front of her laptop, making no attempt to hide it. Her debit card was declined at the register. She was talking to the bank with a shaky voice while the line grew behind her. I stepped up and paid for her coffee. It was $4.80. That is how it all started. 3 days later, we got coffee, and she told me her story. She had dated Colton, the visionary, a club promoter who never made any real money, for 3 years. He asked her for $600 that he never paid back. He had inappropriate relationships with at least 3 women she knew. He made her feel lucky just to have him look at her. When he left her for a 20-year-old waitress he met at one of his events, Belle fell apart. She stopped going to work, ignored her friends, and spent a week locked inside eating takeout and watching television. I was the exact opposite of Colton. I kept my promises, I did not borrow money, and I did not disappear. I was the boring guy who made boring feel like a relief. She said that was exactly what she needed, peace. Within 6 months, I helped her sort out her finances. She had $15,000 spread across 6 credit cards with interest rates between 17 and 24%. I showed her a spreadsheet. She was losing $340 a month just in interest. We got an 8% consolidation loan, canceled the cards, and set up automatic payments. In a year, she paid down $5,000 of the principal. She cried when her credit score went up 70 points. I also co-signed so she could trade in her car, since Colton had ruined her credit with the previous one. When she decided to go back to school to finish her communications degree, I supported her. She needed 9 classes at $950 each, plus books. She was making $17 an hour. For 18 months, I covered the entire rent, $1,700 a month. I ate chicken and rice 6 nights a week, wore the same 3 shirts until they wore out, and drove for 8 months with the check engine light on because I could not afford the repair. But she graduated in the spring of 2024. I was in the front row, taking pictures. 2 months later, she got a job at a boutique public relations firm, making $41,000 a year. She started going to yoga, buying new clothes, and getting her nails done. She glowed with a confidence she did not have when I met her. I was proud, thinking we were moving forward together. The first crack appeared in July 2024 at her parents' house. Her mother, Judith, hosted a family barbecue. Her father, Franklin, her younger sister, Marlo, with her fiancée, Aunt Cynthia, and several cousins were there. I brought potato salad. While helping Franklin with the grill, I heard my name from the deck. Cynthia said I seemed nice. Judith replied in a flat tone, very stable, very responsible. Cynthia asked if that was a good thing after the disaster with Colton. Judith laughed without warmth. Colton had personality. He was exciting. Tristan is safe. I looked toward the deck. Belle was 15 feet away from her mother, looking at her phone. She heard it. She said nothing. Franklin whispered to me not to take Judith's comments to heart, that she always had an opinion on everything, but the important part was that Belle stayed silent. A month later, she started to change. A new, stronger perfume, different music in the car, heavy bass rap, tighter clothes for work, and more makeup. She claimed it was for professionalism. Then the messages started. In late August, while we were watching a movie, her phone lit up on the table. Colton, I keep thinking about our talk. Are you free this weekend? The screen went dark. Belle grabbed the phone and flipped it over without explaining anything. She told me Colton had reached out to apologize, that they were getting closure. It is called maturity, she stated. I noticed she did not let go of her phone after that. A week later, another message came through while I was making breakfast. Colton, I cannot wait to see you. It has been too long. Belle insisted it was a work matter and then claimed it was a group chat. She admitted they were planning to get coffee to close the chapter. When I brought up the content of the message, she accused me of invading her privacy. September was Marlo's engagement party. During dinner, Judith toasted Grant, calling him ambitious and charming. Then she looked at Belle and said she hoped she was taking notes. She added that, although I was wonderful in my own way, when Belle was with Colton, she had a different energy. Tristan is safe, but is that what you want long term? The table went quiet. Belle stared at her plate. I asked her to say something. She did not. I stood up and told Judith that if she thought I was boring, she could say it to my face. I went to the restroom, came back, and Belle apologized to me, blaming her mother's behavior on the wine. I left alone. She arrived 2 hours later, upset that I had left. 2 days later, her iPad lit up in the kitchen with a message from the family group chat between Belle, Judith, and Cynthia. It was unlocked. I read the conversation. Back in September, Belle had told them she missed the excitement Colton gave her. Judith replied that she had the right to want more than just stability. Cynthia wrote, "Do not settle." When Judith asked if different meant boring, Belle did not deny it. Cynthia answered, "It went without saying." Judith's final message was clear: invite Colton somewhere. See how you feel. Check if there is still a spark. Belle called it bad advice. Judith called it practical. I took pictures with my phone and saved everything in a secure folder. October came fast. Marlowe's wedding was on October 12th. Belle was the maid of honor. She was obsessed with everything being perfect. Grant's family had money. They owned a medical supply company. The wedding would be at an elegant estate with an orchestra and a formal dinner. Belle was terrified of looking bad in front of them. 2 days before the event, she told me they needed to adjust the seating chart and that to avoid tension, it was best if I did not attend. She added that her mother thought my presence would be a distraction. I later learned the truth. Judith had said I was a downgrade and that Colton fit better in that environment. On the night of the wedding, she sent me a text saying she had told everyone I had a medical emergency at home and needed to rest. The next morning, her family woke up in the middle of chaos. I was not unwell. I was wide awake with screenshots, ready to show how their daughter had considered testing the waters with her ex while I bankrolled her stability. And when the lies began to crumble, all I did was send the evidence to the family group chat. By then I was no longer the safe guy. I was the man who had decided to stop being the backup plan. I wanted to show her I was on her level, that I could stand beside her without fading into the background. That is why I did not rent anything. I bought a new suit at a downtown store, navy blue, slim fit, for $725. I got a haircut and had my car fully detailed. 2 nights before the wedding, I returned to the apartment fully dressed and stood in front of her. What do you think? Belle was on the couch, looking at her phone. She looked up, and her expression shifted, just for a second. I could not tell if it was disappointment or annoyance. It is fine. Good, just fine. Very you, Tristan. I knew that meant boring. It is a blue suit, I said, taking off the jacket. Everyone is going to wear blue. She replied, you could have picked something with personality. Colton would have shown up in something bolder. Colton again. Colton would have shown up late and in a bad state. I replied, at least it would be memorable. I hung the suit on the closet door and asked what time we were leaving on Saturday. She did not answer right away. She locked her phone and placed it face down on the cushion. About that. I sat down across from her. About what? She said her mother had been making comments about me, about Colton. I felt my jaw tighten. I asked her to keep going. She thinks you are a downgrade. She dropped the word. It hung in the air between us. She clarified that her mother had not said it exactly like that, but that was the message. According to her, Colton had charisma and energy, while I was just safe and predictable. Belle had settled. I leaned forward. Say that word again. She tried to soften it by saying she was just passing on what her mother thought. I cut her off. Are you uninviting me from your sister's wedding because your mother thinks I am boring? She said that was not the reason. She stood up and explained she did not want me spending the night knowing I was being compared, that it would be awkward for both of us. I stood up too. You are not protecting me, Belle. You are protecting yourself. You are worried about what Grant's rich family will think if you show up with the boring guy. She said that was not fair. I asked her to tell me I was wrong. She did not. I walked into the bedroom, pulled my gym bag out of the closet, and started packing clothes. What are you doing? She asked. I am leaving. She called me dramatic. I stopped and looked at her. You just uninvited me from your sister's wedding and called me a downgrade. It is not drama. It is clarity. She wanted to talk about it. I said no. She had made her choice. She wanted to go without me to impress her mother and Grant's family. Perfect. But I was not going to sit at home waiting for her to decide if I was enough. Where are you going? To a hotel. For how long? We will see. This is crazy. Yes, it is. I walked out. She did not follow me. I did not go straight to the hotel. I sat in my car in the parking lot for 20 minutes, wondering if I was overreacting. Then my phone buzzed. It was my best friend since college, Harrison. He is a quality control manager at a food plant, a solid, straightforward guy. We met at a sports bar 10 minutes from my apartment. I ordered a soda and told him everything. He listened without interrupting. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair. She uninvited you from a family wedding because her mom thinks you are boring. Yes, and instead of defending me, she agreed. Basically, and you are sitting here doubting if you overreacted? I nodded. You did not overreact. You have to leave her. It has been 2 years. I helped her get out of debt. I co-signed her car loan. That is why she keeps you around, he said. You are not her boyfriend. You are a subscription service. You pay for the infrastructure, rent, car, emotional stability. She wants the perks, not you. I stared at my glass. You know I am right. Yes. So what are you going to do? I do not know yet. On Saturday afternoon, Belle left for the wedding venue around 2 o'clock. She was spending the night at the hotel to help Marlo with the preparations. She acted like nothing was wrong. She gave me a quick hug at the door. I will be back on Sunday morning. Have fun. She hesitated for a second. Are we okay? We will talk when I get back. She left. I waited 5 minutes and walked over to the living room window. We lived on the 4th floor. I could see the street from there. I watched her walk out of the building. An Uber pulled up and the back door opened. Then a man leaned in to help the driver with her suitcase, leather jacket, flashy watch, that confident walk. Colton. I kept my hand pressed against the glass. She had not uninvited me to protect me. She had done it to bring him. I called Harrison. I need help moving. He arrived half an hour later with his truck. Are you sure? Absolutely. Let us make a clean break. He had experience from helping his brother get out of a messy relationship, and his advice was simple. Document everything. Take only what is yours, and leave no mess. I started with my clothes, 3 suitcases. Then my documents from the filing cabinet, birth certificate, passport, and tax returns. I took the $500 of emergency cash from the safe. Next were the electronics. The 65-inch television I had bought, my PlayStation, and the Sonos speakers from the living room, bedroom, and kitchen. They were all mine. The ultimate move was the network. In the corner sat the fiber modem with the mesh router. The internet account was in my name. I paid the $99 a month. I unplugged the router, rolled up the cable, and put it in my backpack. The apartment powered down in a whole different way. Smart lights went offline, the thermostat disconnected, Alexa went silent, and streaming services logged out. Harrison took pictures while we loaded up. Just to be safe, he said, in case she tries to say you took something that is not yours. Good idea. I walked through the place one last time. Her furniture was still there, her decor, her clutter, but the life was gone. I left my key on the kitchen counter. No note. That is it. That is it. We loaded my things. Harrison followed me to a downtown Marriott. I checked in, took my bags up, and sat on the bed. It was 4:45. The ceremony was starting in 15 minutes. Harrison settled in by the window. How do you feel? Honestly, relieved. Good. Turn off your phone. When she notices you are gone, she is going to blow it up. Not yet. I want to see how this plays out. At 7:38, it rang. It was Franklin, Brielle's father. I let it ring twice and picked up. Young man, are you in the hospital? I frowned. Hospital? No, I am at a hotel. What? Belle said you had a medical emergency, that you collapsed right before leaving, and that you insisted she come anyway, so as not to ruin Marlo's day. Unbelievable. Franklin, I am perfectly fine. There was no emergency. Then why are you not here? And why is Colton sitting in your seat eating your salmon? Harrison raised his eyebrows and motioned for me to put it on speaker. Belle uninvited me yesterday, I explained. She said that you and Judith think I am boring compared to Colton, that my presence would make the family uncomfortable. What? Young man, I cannot stand that clown. He asked me for $600 3 years ago, and at Thanksgiving, he tried to sell me an NFT scheme. I have wanted him out of her life, but Brielle always cries, saying she needs emotional support. Harrison shook his head, smiling. Well, now she has him, I said, and she no longer has me. What do you mean? I moved out while you were at the ceremony. We are done. I could hear music, glasses clinking, and voices in the background. Tristan, do not do this. She is stressed. She is being an idiot, but we can fix this. There is nothing to fix. She looked me in the eye, called me a downgrade, and replaced me with her ex at your daughter's wedding. That is character, not stress. There was a brief silence. Colton just tried to give Grant's dad a business card for a podcast that does not exist. Harrison let out a short laugh. Congratulate Marlowe for me, I said, and tell Brielle she can now enjoy Colton full-time. Tristan, wait. I hung up and turned off the phone. Harrison stood up. Perfect. Clear, direct, no begging. I nodded. Let us order food and watch the game. I asked him to leave his phone on. I wanted to know how it all ended. He asked why I cared if I was already done with her. I told him it was not about her. It was about knowing I was right. He smiled. We ordered pizza and put the game on. His phone sat on the table. 20 minutes later, it buzzed. An unknown number. I told him to answer and put it on speaker. It was Marlowe, Brielle's sister. She had gotten Harrison's number from Franklin. She was looking for me. I said I was there. She apologized. She swore she had no idea Brielle was going to show up with Colton. According to her, Brielle told everyone I was having a serious health issue. Meanwhile, Colton was making a scene, trying to pitch a podcast idea to Grant's dad during cocktail hour. The catch was that Grant's dad was a federal judge. Harrison muted the call and smiled, then unmuted it. I asked where Brielle was. Marlowe explained she was defending Colton. Franklin tried to have security remove him, but Brielle started crying, claiming she needed emotional support because I was supposedly unwell. It was Marlowe's wedding day, and Brielle was turning it into her own drama. I apologized to Marlowe. She replied that it was not my fault and that she was about to ask Brielle to leave the bridal suite. I told her she did not have to do that. Yes, I do, she answered. She hijacked my day. Then she hung up. Harrison looked at me. Are they removing Colton? Perfect, I replied. 10 minutes later, Riley, Brielle's co-worker, texted Harrison. She reported that security was escorting Colton to the exit. Then she sent a video, 23 seconds of shaky footage in the lobby. Colton, in his cheap suit, was arguing with a guard. This is censorship of entrepreneurship, he was saying. I am a thought leader. The guard, unfazed, said, Sir, you need to leave. In the background, Brielle was covering her face with her hands. Suddenly, Judith stepped into the frame. You are embarrassing my daughter. Which daughter? Colton shot back. Brielle asked me to come. The video ended there. Harrison played it again. Thought leader. Unbelievable. Riley texted again. Marlowe had kicked Brielle out. Colton left with a bridesmaid, and Franklin shut down Judith's attempt to paint me as controlling. Harrison set his phone on the table. Are you going to reply? No. Are you okay? Yes. We finished watching the game and ate our pizza. Around 11, I stood up. I am going to the hotel. Sure. I headed back to the Marriott, went up to my room, and fell asleep without a single thought of Brielle, Colton, or the wedding. Sunday was quiet. I kept my phone off, slept until 10, went for a run, had lunch at a casual restaurant, and read a book. Monday at 6, I was already awake. I made coffee, opened my laptop at the hotel desk, and started shutting down everything that still depended on me. I sent the landlord formal notice with the photos Harrison took during the move. I transferred the utilities out of my name, effective in 72 hours. I changed all my passwords. I removed Brielle from Netflix, Hulu, Spotify, and Amazon. I froze my accounts and set up fraud alerts. I notified HR that my ex was not authorized to enter the building. I downloaded 2 years of transaction history, rent, car, groceries, and insurance, and saved it in a folder labeled Evidence. The only mildly petty thing I did was taking the router, not to sabotage her, but to remind myself that I would no longer be the infrastructure of her life. I turned my phone on at 8:30. I had 63 missed calls, 108 text messages, and 17 voicemails. 20 minutes later, Harrison showed up with 2 coffees. I scrolled through the message previews. My phone looked like a slot machine. Where are you? Where is the television? My dad is yelling at me. You humiliated me. Colton left with a bridesmaid. You took the router. We can finally talk. I made a mistake. Harrison summarized the pattern: anger, manipulation, panic, guilt, and begging. All 5 stages in less than 24 hours. I archived everything without responding and blocked her number. At 6 in the evening, as I walked from work to the parking lot, I found her leaning against my car door, wearing sunglasses despite the overcast sky. Did you block me? Yes. We need to talk. No. I stopped about 10 feet away. You excluded me from your sister's wedding to bring Colton. You told your family I was in the hospital. The crazy part is thinking there is anything left to discuss. She said she panicked, that Colton texted her, and she thought she needed closure. And you took him to a family wedding? I replied. He made a scene, flirted with Marlo's sister-in-law, tried to sell crypto to Grant's dad, and left with a bridesmaid. She took off her glasses. Her eyes were red. I am sorry. I miss you. Do you miss me paying the rent? I answered. Name one thing you miss about me that is not something I did for you. She opened her mouth. Nothing came out. I unlocked the car. My dad will not even speak to me, she said. He will forgive you. I will not. I cannot afford the apartment alone. I reminded her that the utilities would be shut off on Wednesday if she did not call, and that rent was due in 3 weeks. And the car, refinance it in your name. You have 30 days. I will not get approved. Then sell it. I am not staying on that loan. I got in the car and started the engine. She was yelling something, but the glass muffled it all. I checked the rearview mirror once. She was left standing alone in the shadow. The following Wednesday, Harrison sent me a screenshot. Belle had posted a story about people who abandon you when you need them most. Judith commented, praising her strength. Friends were asking what happened. Harrison called me. Are you going to reply? Not directly. An hour later, I received a private message from Tessa, a distant friend of Brielle's cousin. She told me the post was unfair, that I had not abandoned her, that she brought her ex to the wedding and lied about my health. She just wanted me to know people were talking. Later, another message arrived, this time from Judith, saying that leaving without notice was cruel, that Belle was devastated, and that I could have acted with more class. It was clearly damage control. At a coffee shop with Harrison, I showed him the message. He told me if I was going to respond, I should do it once and for all. I opened my photos and found the iPad screenshots. The chat where Belle said she missed the thrill with Colton and where Judith suggested taking him somewhere to test the spark. I uploaded the images to my story without comment. Public. Then I replied to Judith. I handled it with exactly the class it deserved. I blocked Judith, blocked Belle, and deleted the apps. 20 minutes later, Harrison showed me his screen. The screenshots were already circulating. Comments pointed out the contradiction and dismantled the victim narrative. I did not keep reading. I ordered another coffee. 2 weeks later, I returned with Harrison and the building manager to get my furniture. Belle tried to block the door. Judith showed up, raising her voice about trauma. I took my bed, my bookcase, and my desk. I left her sitting on the floor, crying. I wished her luck and walked away. By 3 in the afternoon, everything was set up in my new apartment. 3 weeks later, in mid-November, Belle missed the car payment. I got the alert at 8 in the morning. Are you going to cover it? Harrison asked. Only once to protect my credit. After that, we are done. I paid the $295, saved the receipt, and messaged her from a texting app since I had blocked her number. I gave her until December 1st to refinance, or I would initiate a sale. She responded with the same cycle. Her credit was not ready. She was trying to rebuild her life, and I was making it difficult. I replied, December 1st. A week before the deadline, she wrote that her father wanted to talk to me. Franklin called and, while acknowledging I was right, asked for time. He said she was back home, without an apartment, ashamed, and that the car was her only stability. My credit is my stability, I answered. She had 8 weeks. I already gave her a chance. He stayed silent and said he understood. December 1st arrived. She did not refinance. She also missed the next payment. I spoke with the lender. I could not repossess the vehicle directly, but I could force a sale. I sent her one last message. We either cooperate to get a better price, or it goes to auction. She asked if I was really going to take her car away. Then she wrote that she hated me. She tried to hide it at a friend's house and stopped answering calls from the lender. It did not work. 3 weeks later, the tow truck picked it up. It sold at auction for $18,000. She still owed $19,500. Franklin covered the difference to protect my record. On December 22nd, my name was removed from the loan. I saved the confirmation email in the evidence folder. She sent one last text. You took my car. I protected my credit. You had 3 chances. I blocked that number too. In December, I heard from Franklin that Belle moved back into her parents' house. Judith was furious, and Marlo was not speaking to her. Colton was now dating the bridesmaid. In March 2025, 5 months after the wedding, I saw her outside the gym. She looked smaller, tired. Can we talk? She asked. I said there was nothing left to discuss. She insisted for 5 minutes. I agreed out of curiosity. She said she was in therapy, that she was afraid of becoming boring, that her mother had too much influence, that Colton triggered old emotions, and she panicked. She admitted it was awful to lie about my health situation. She apologized to her family and to me. Apology accepted, I said. We are done. She wanted to try again. She said she had changed. Maybe, I replied, but I do not care anymore. Her expression dropped. I reminded her that for 2 years I was there when she had debt, when I co-signed the car, and when I paid the rent while she studied, that she called me boring and did not defend me. Interest runs out. It was a mistake, she said. It was a series of choices, I corrected, and now you are facing the consequences. She tried another card. Colton had reached out, and she did not reply. She turned down a date because she still loved me. That's good, I said, but do it for yourself, not for me. She cried silently. I said goodbye and walked to the parking lot. She did not follow me this time. I went straight to Harrison's house. He was in the garage, working on his motorcycle. What did she want? Another chance. And you did not. He smiled and tossed me a wrench. We worked for 2 hours without talking about the past. When he finished, the engine roared cleanly. Are you hungry? He asked me. We went to a simple place by the pier. He raised his beer, toasting to moving on. I raised my soda. To moving on. 2 months later, I met Natalie, a nurse at a hospital affiliated with my company. She asked me out directly. We had dinner and talked for 3 hours. On the second date, she asked about my past relationship. I gave her the short version. My ex brought her ex to a wedding and lied. I left. Her loss, she said. Are you over it? Yes, completely. I do not do drama. Me neither. And we did not. Comment. After a story like this, I think it is important to talk about the quiet strength in choosing yourself. True self-respect is not about being loud. It is about knowing when your kindness is no longer valued. Setting boundaries is one of the most powerful forms of self-care you can practice. We are all responsible for the energy we bring into our own lives and the lives of others. Sometimes, the most courageous decision is not to fight back, but to quietly walk away to find peace. Remember that your compassion should always include yourself first. Healing begins the moment you decide you deserve a better chapter. Do not be afraid to be the one who breaks a negative cycle, even if it feels difficult at first. I hope you always choose relationships that honor your worth and bring you calm. Your peace is not up for negotiation. It is a priority. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.